Hello, it's me, Haley Crusher Kane. And do you remember this advertisement? Ribbon dancer up and down, dancing in the street. Come on and do it. Ribbon dancer all around, dancing to the beat. Come on and do it. Ribbon dancer riding the wall. Ribbon dancer up and then it falls. Ribbon dancer having so much fun. Ribbon dancer gotta get one. If you do, you're probably a millennial. Congratulations. How does it feel to be approaching middle age? So, the reason I sang you this amazing 1990s advertisement is because I went to see my friend's Hot Talent Buffet do one of their very bizarre shows where they collect a bunch of artists, comedians, and I was like gonna say comedians and comedy people, but same deal. Um, Clowns, all sorts of different people together, and created this whole smorgasbord of craziness. And their show is called The Surrealistic Nipple, so take that as you will. There was a giant vagina. There was singing into an ice cream cone, which is very much, my friend Nicole was singing into an ice cream cone, which is something that she got from a DEVO video, which I will send you guys. I'll put it in the links below because it's amazing. I'd never seen it. I think I've given you a good roundabout. Anyways, you won't be surprised now that I tell you that in the middle of this like hootenanny of weird craziness, there was my friend Nicole dancing across the stage with a literal ribbon dancer. I'm not sure if the ribbon dancer thing was actually really a vintage one from the 90s or if she made it, but I think it was real because it lit up. And if you're not familiar with ribbon dancer, it was a little stick, like basically a little wand that would have an iridescent, floaty, almost like a ribbon or crinoline kind of thing that would come down, and you could the little wand would light up, and you could basically dance around with this sort of long tail on your wand. And for some reason, that was a craze that swept the nation. I remember having that alongside Polly Pocket, Skip It, obviously skateboard because that was big in the 90s. What else? Like, I feel like before we had Tamagotchis, and that was like the first kind of like digital thing. I mean, I guess like Furby Tamagotchi was kind of like going in that way. We just had like sticks with ribbons attached to it and an easy bake oven and maybe a creepy crawler that somebody's brother didn't want anymore. Creepy crawler set where you could make gross out little insects out of weird gelatin material. So that was life in the 90s, you guys. If you weren't there for it, it was a time. It was a hell of a drug. It was a hell of a drug growing up in the 90s. Speaking of that, I recently digitized 2 childhood camcorder tapes that my sister and I um, recorded and re-recorded on because there was just like the most amazing stuffed animal versions of Titanic with the soundtrack because I had the CD. And then I would tape over it with something else with me talking about how one day I'm going to be a writer and a songwriter. Apt. I mean, I was onto something there. And it's amazing. And then, like, there'd just be little snippets of my parents' horses or dogs or whatever. It was just, like, such a great blast from the past. So I wanted to bring the Ribbon Dancer nostalgia to you. If you haven't ever looked up the Ribbon Dancer commercial, I'm definitely gonna put that in here too because I feel like it's gonna brighten your day. It definitely brightened my day when my friend Nicole like traipsed around the stage and did a full ribbon dancer routine. And then after the show, this was hosted at Planet Ant in Hamtramck, which is a really cool independent theater that hosts all kinds of things, stand up and music and podcasts and all sorts of stuff. Um, so afterwards I was helping her backstage like take all her stuff and get it back into her car and stuff, and she was like, oh man, I forgot to put the ribbon dancer, like turn it on. Like I guess she forgot to put the light onto the little wand, turn it on, and I grabbed it from her and I just started belting out the jingle because it's been in my head for the past like 25 years. And she had the wherewithal to video me actually singing that part of it. So I'm not posting that because It's too real, guys. I'm not sure you're ready for that. Um, but anyways, that was something I wanted to mention. And shout out to my friends, Hot Talent Buffet, Sal and Nicole. They're always putting on weird stuff. They're always getting together, lots of eccentric people, and believing in everybody and being like, you know what, y'all can do this and you can all do this together. And I think that's the emphasis, is that they bring together people that would not always be together, but they absolutely they should all sit at the same table in high school. So I think it's great when people can connect all the far-flung, fringiest artists that you can think of and put them in one room. I appreciate it, especially as someone who's a little burnt out from live music for obvious reasons. It's always fun to go see comedy and to go see performance art. Okay. Oh, and at that show, the Boars played. Wanted to shout out the Boars. They kind of have adverts vibes, like British 77, maybe like a tiny bit Briefs. Like the Briefs essentially took that British 77 sound and kind of like condensed it, condensed it like condensed milk. And the Boars are a little bit of that. And they're local to Detroit. I just think they have the greatest songs. They're really melodic, and you should check them out. Let's see. So lately I've been part of a lot of different groups, and I realized I hadn't been on here in a while, and I was thinking, I don't know if I've mentioned, like when I talk to people about my life, they always say, wow, you're part of a lot of groups. And the thing is, I didn't really realize that until recently, but I am part of a lot of different groups. And the thing is, when you move to a new city, you obviously want to meet people organically and whatever, but there's also the proactive part of it of like, let me go out to places and that are not, the normal places I hang out, and see if I can meet people outside of the spheres I would normally bump into people, if that makes sense. And as someone who has done live music for many years, nothing against the bar scene, but I am 2 years off alcohol. I'm a little burnt out from just the staying up late, the bar scene in general. It's loud. You can't really like connect with people. It's hard to talk. It's definitely hard to socialize. I think of it more of as a kind of a job. Like if I'm playing a show, I'm more working, whereas I want to meet people in places where I can sit and talk and feel like I'm connecting with people one-on-one. And so the group thing has been really helpful. So I've been part of a couple groups that I thought were kind of funny. So one of them, this is the one that gets the most like, oh, I've heard of that, but I don't know if I've ever like wanted to go. But I think anyone in Detroit area, if you've heard of this, if you've seen the flyer, like I saw the flyer at a coffee shop one day and I thought, that looks so cool, but I'll never go to it because it seems too intense. And it was the Belle Isle Swim Club. And lately, like in the culture, like the last 5 years in like America, there's a lot of like bro influencers touting the benefits of jumping into cold water and doing cold plunges. And you know what? I'm not having any of that. I've heard that the endorphins you get are higher than cocaine, but I don't care. Like, I'm not going to do that. I think it's dumb and I'm not going to do it. Good on you if you want to do it, but I don't want to do it. So I thought, well, that'd be kind of fun, but I don't want to jump in some cold water. And, it said free coffee. And I thought, oh, free coffee. This is going to be like some sort of AA group where people are really intense and stoic and like serious to take themselves too seriously. But anyways, I decided to go eventually because Belle Isle is a magical place. You access it via a little bridge, and it's essentially an island right off of Detroit. So all around it is a sandy beach. You can kayak. We've kayaked out there a few times. It's gorgeous. There's tons of greenery. There's a really cool aquarium from the 1920s or 30s with the most incredible green tile. Like the whole aquarium is green tile, and it's the cutest little tiny vintage aquarium. So I just really like Belle Isle. Oh, there's also the there's like a big floral conservancy, like botanic gardens. It's enclosed and it's a really cool spot. So I thought, okay, I want to go do this. Let's just do it. So I went by myself one morning, and also it starts at 7 a.m. So it's 7 a.m. to 8:45 every Friday. And I'm thinking, I don't want to get up that early, but you know what? Maybe I'll try it. Like, this could be a good reason to get up. So I went, and it was magical. Okay. It was magical. There are just a group of people hanging out on the beach with various blankets, towels, whatever. Some people go in the water, some people don't. There's free coffee provided by James Oliver, which makes a really good medium roast, and I'm all about medium roast. People are really kind, amazing cross section of people. I met everyone from city planners to like an art psychiatrist, like art therapist, to musicians to engineers, really brainy people, like such a great group of people, different ages, different backgrounds, no kids. Kids are not allowed. And they're all hanging out, looking at the sun, which is rising. I mean, I guess it's risen by 7, but it's not like super harsh yet out. So the air is all dreamy, and it's like the perfect kind of like early morning sunlight where they say that you need to get this in the morning for 10 minutes to have a good life. I mean, that's what I've heard. So we're all kind of basking in the sun, and then the water, you guys, because it's really shallow on this beach that we all meet at, it's shallow as hell, and it's so warm. The last one I went to, the water was 85 degrees. It's essentially bathtub water, better than bathtub water. The best part about the shallowness is you can go out in your swimsuit with your coffee, you bring your own mug, and you can just drink from your own mug, and you just walk out into the water, and it's just blissful and beautiful. And you can look out at Detroit, and it looks like a beautiful glittering city in the distance. And everybody knows distance makes the heart grow fonder. So you can have like your little being in Detroit while looking at Detroit, which I think is a really magical feeling. And every time I get to see the skyline when I'm like maybe in Eastern Market or different, driving down Woodward South, like towards downtown from North End, I see the skyline emerge. And I think being in a city is about being in the city, but also being adjacent and near and seeing the skyline. If you're not seeing the skyline of your own city, why are you living in a city? That's the whole point. It's so magical and romantic. So I love my swim club, Belle Isle Swim Club. You can bring a flotation device. You don't have to. You're not supposed to bring dogs, but there are always like a few dogs, I feel like. There's not dogs on the beach that are allowed. But yeah, it's awesome. So Belle Isle Swim Club. Second club I will talk about is my bike club, Babes on Bikes, and they meet up a couple times a month during the good weather, spring through late fall, I suppose. And they just go through different areas of Detroit in a big ass group of women, and we just ride. We ride and we learn different routes. And last time we went through the Jefferson Chalmers area of Detroit, like kind of near the west. It's on the west side. The east side. The east side by the river. We like went over some canals. It's kind of by like, what do they call it? Like West Village and even Grosse Pointe, Grosse Pointe, which is a really beautiful, affluent area. However, around Grosse Pointe and Grosse Pointe Park, there are lots of little communities, and the one that we went through had these really cool art alleyways that they're creating that are all about wellness, and there's like art everywhere. These are like old alleyways that this local couple has just created this amazing art scene around. And then we stopped at this really cool park where they had a pizza oven that was all painted beautifully, bee boxes with tons of bees buzzing around, a butterfly like shelter, which I don't know the story behind that, but there's a little butterfly shelter. There's a kids playground and a gazebo, twinkle lights, like very cute. It was a very cute community feel. Where you can tell that people, like, it was basically this couple that have lived in the area for decades, and they just decided they were going to adopt and take care of the area in the way that they saw fit. And the way they saw fit was like, let's create places for yoga, let's create places for wellness. And it's hippie. It's like a hippie kind of thing. But I love it. I thought it was really cool, and we got to ride through there. So every time we do these rides, they're like around, I want to say like 12 to like 15-mile rides. We usually stop somewhere, and it's usually someplace I've never been. And this is a great example of that. I'd never been to this park. I'd been to that area, but I had never been, because actually my dog Gidget got lost kind of in that area. In fact, if you want to hear about that whole story of how my puppy went missing, like pretty much during one of the biggest shows I've ever played, while I was out of town, you can listen to Sparkle and Destroy podcast that I do with my friend Danielle. I kind of go into like greater detail about it. It was pretty dramatizing. But I'd never been to this specific area. So Babe on Bikes is really cool. The people that are all there are very welcoming and like just very interested in like riding and like maybe having a little conversation, but it's really about the ride and like enjoying the ride. And I really appreciate that. It's like sometimes you go to social events and you have to take a nap for a week because it was too much. And this is not too much because we're basically kind of just riding with each other. It's a beautiful feeling. And whether it's 8 girls or it's 20, I feel like I've never seen more than that. It's just like very community and feels really good. So that's a really fun group. I think I've talked about my writers groups on here, like my nonfiction writing group and my fiction writing group. I have not been to those in a while because I've been focusing on music and it's just been too much. And I'm also editing a writing project that once it's completely edited, I'm going to bring back to those groups. But I haven't had the bandwidth to peer edit other people's work, and it felt like kind of fucked up. Like, don't go to a group unless you can contribute in the way they will contribute to help you. So until I have bandwidth to kind of take on other people's writing in my brain and I can receive feedback on my writing, I'm taking a break from those groups, but I have those groups. And then what are the other groups? Oh, the cleanup club, you guys, the cleanup club. Have I talked about this? I don't know, but there's a group of just community-minded people that get together, different neighborhoods, not just Detroit, but I would say Detroit metro area and just surrounding areas. Sometimes they go and do like a lake cleanup, but I've done mostly just the downtown. Like they did a Corktown one recently I went to. They did one at Belle Isle. You all get these buckets, you wear these pink vests, and you pick up a bunch of trash, and at the end they weigh it, and you kind of have a little competition to see who got the most trash. Last time I found a broken blender and a bunch of soda cans, and I couldn't have been more happy. That's a fun one. I wouldn't say that's really social. It's just more contemplative. Like you're just kind of walking around. Actually, Corktown, we had big burlap sacks, which really was interesting. Carrying around a giant burlap sack around Corktown in Detroit. It felt like, am I Santa Claus? Am I an antique Santa Claus? Or a really cute and like a old-fashioned hobo? I can say hobo, right? But it was cool. It was just felt like I like a group where like you get some exercise, you feel good after doing it, and socialization is welcome but optional. So let's see. Next up. Oh, I wanted to talk about something that's been coming up to me more and more. I feel like sometimes concepts not follow me, but they reveal themselves and repeat themselves more and more, or I notice them more. It's like the whole scientific thing of if I tell you about a green Corvette, you're going to see green Corvettes. Like if I bring that to your mind, you're going to naturally see it. It's not that they're appearing more. But this concept of just that people's opinions and ideas and thoughts about you have nothing to do with you. And it's so funny because just saying that as a sentence, it's like, yeah, okay, that's like an interesting platitude. Is that doesn't really help, right? Like most people do care to some degree about what other people think or what they think other people think, which is most often the case, and we can never know what other people think. Or if this is all a simulation. So there you go. Um, but lately it's been hitting me more and more that the more I notice, because I'm noticing this in real time where, and this isn't always it's not always like people thinking bad things or saying bad things, but even good things about you are none of your business. And whatever they're saying and projecting is just that. It's a projection, and you're essentially a mirror, and you're reflecting back to them either what they feel is a lack, a similarity, or something fearful, or something that brings up another emotion in them, and that's how they will react to it. So, as they say, you could be the juiciest peach, but if people don't like peaches, then they're going to think you're disgusting, right? But that's nothing to do with you. You're obviously not disgusting. It's all subjective. But it's interesting how these thoughts and the concepts, once they become integrated into your real life and you notice them in real time, that's when they finally start working. That's the point. That's the point of thinking new thoughts, is not to think new thoughts and then just forget about them. It's to actually have them in your back pocket. So as life is going and lifing, you're like, oh, I actually have this tool to see clearly what is happening here. And the more you put yourself out there creatively or in a vulnerable manner, which is creatively, the more people are going to project. And part of the fun of the theatrics of doing art is the projections. Like it's the scary part, but it's also can be very fun because in a way, everybody is kind of projecting what they feel and think onto everyone else. And in a way, it's almost like a flirtation or a playfulness. There is like something to be learned and gained and understood about people through it, if that makes sense. Like, it's almost like my art goes out in the world. How you interact with it has to do with you, and then you confront what that means to you. And if you present that to me, I can say, huh, that's interesting. Wow, that's so interesting. I don't have to take it on, and I shouldn't take it on, whether it's good or bad. But it's interesting. And isn't that the point of life, to be creating and be interested? I don't know. That's what I think the point of life is. I didn't think I was going to get that deep in this Crusher talk. I just thought I was going to drop a little fun jingle for you and talk about the 90s and my adorable home movies I made with my sister. But apparently we're going that way. And a hard left turn. Hard left turn. I think that if you have a dog, you can probably relate to the idea of spending lots of money on toys and other diversions. I am very guilty of this. Well, recently I went on Reddit. I really do love Reddit for its anonymous tips. And I was just at my wit's end. I have a puppy. And it's funny because I'm going to look back at this phase of my life and I'm going to see my journal, my notebook, my Kindle cover, my eyeglasses, my favorite pen, my heels. I mean, the list goes on. They're all chewed up. So every single thing in my life right now has a little bit of chewed upness on it because I have a puppy. And the minute anything is near her, she chews it up. So I've had to be a lot better about getting like new chews. So I was researching like, what can I do? What can you do if you have a dog that's like really into chewing, or a puppy? And they recommended these Himalayan yak cheese things. And I thought, well, what the heck? Like, let's just try this out. That sounds really gross, actually. It came in the mail, and they're very, very tough, very hard. They're like, essentially, if you think about like a really nice wheel of cheese, if you ever had one, there's a rind usually on like I guess an aged cheese. There'll be a rind, and you can put like, okay, here we go. Parmesan rind. Everyone knows what those are like. And you can actually take that Parmesan rind and throw it into your sauce, your stew, whatever. And it actually does kind of like give a little flavor. That's a little tip for you. But imagine the hardest Parmesan cheese rind you've ever chewed on. It's harder than that. It's essentially like a rock. And so, as much as my puppy is trying to whittle away at this thing, it's probably, I could have one for a month. Yeah, like a month. And she's finally whittled it down to the very end. So these are super economical. They're super healthy. It's quote unquote cheese, but it's kind of like the rind of the cheese. You can Google it. It's not like giving your dog a bunch of dairy. They're not going to fart. It's a very different thing. But I recommend this, and I think if anybody is having issues, I almost imagine like if you have a puppy, it's a little like not dissimilar to having a baby, and all you're thinking about is how do I like quell the baby and take care of the baby and make the baby happy, right? Everything's about the baby. So puppies are very similar, as y'all know. So if you're dealing with a puppy, if you have a dog that chews, get yourself a Himalayan cheese chew. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just absolute like, once you find something like that and you know that's going to be in your arsenal, anytime I have a dog that chews, I'm just going to get him Himalayan cheese chews. So I got mine on Amazon. I'll try to link to it. I think that's it. I think I had one other thing which I wanted to say, which was just from the home movies, which I'll talk more about on Sparkle and Destroy podcast with my friend Danielle. I think I'm going to go in depth with her about those movies because that's going to be a good place to talk about it. But one of the things that kind of came to me watching, there's two little camcorder cassette tape things that I sent in, and the first one came, and there's probably an hour of footage, and Dr. Kane and I watched them all last night and just couldn't believe how beautiful they were. I think most people are fully formed by the time they're like 9 or 10, and I was looking back and thinking, God, I was really fully formed. Like, I could see it in my awkward dancing for my little music video, Fiona Apple music video I'm dancing to, and I'm dancing just as awkwardly as I dance now. I could see it in the eagerness that I had to like want to perform well and like fake played my sister's Casio keyboard as I'm like trying to give the camera a smoldering eye as I'm singing this Fiona Apple song. I've been a bad, bad girl, you know. The song was Criminal, by the way, which is Criminal, not the best song for 10-year-olds, but not the worst song. We definitely did things wrong when we were little kids, so I guess I could have some idea of what she was singing about as a criminal, and feeling guilty. But I could just see in myself and in my friends and my sister, who's obsessed with David Bowie still and was back in those days. And I asked her, if you could go on a suicide mission if you were asked to go on a suicide mission to the moon by David Bowie, would you go? And she goes, of course. He's David Bowie. We're all fully formed, and it kind of made me a little sad because I know a lot of us don't hold true to who we were when we were 10. And I feel like even especially since I stopped drinking, I mean, always I've been connected to that little person inside of me. But I think mostly, like even more recently, I feel even more connected to that childhood version of me. And I think no matter what your age is, I think we're all pretty much just 10-year-olds with bank accounts. And if you're not connected to that person you were, I'm just putting out there, maybe think about the things you like to do. For me, obviously it was lip sync to music videos and be a ham and interview my family. I interviewed my family in this with a flashlight microphone. Think about the things you like to do when you were little, and then maybe not do exactly that thing, but think, well, what did that thing represent? Like, what did that mean? What was I getting at? And then just try to do it as an adult more. And maybe even look at meetup groups in your city and see if there's some clubs you can join to facilitate that, because the little 10-year-old in me is happier than ever that I have all these play dates. So anyways, that's all I have to say today. Have a lovely weekday, year, apocalypse, depending on when you're listening to this, and I'll catch you next time. Until then, sparkle hard. Toodaloo.